Hey gang, I got an offer for you today from LinkedIn. As business to business marketers, your needs are unique. B2B buying cycles are long and your customers face incredibly complex decisions. Isn't it time you had a marketing platform built specifically for you? LinkedIn ads empower marketers with solutions for you and your customers. LinkedIn ads allow you to build the right relationships, drive results, and reach your customers in a respectful environment. On LinkedIn, you have direct access to build relationships with decision makers. Of the 875 million users on the network, 180 million are senior level executives. 10 million are C-level executives. You will also be able to drive results with targeting and measuring with their tools built specifically for B2B. And best of all, they work. Audiences exposed to brand messages on LinkedIn are 6 times more likely to convert. LinkedIn ads also rank #1 for security, community, and ad experience as part of the Business Insider's Digital Trust Study. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get a $100 credit. It's a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. It's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Enigma. This is Seth Goldstein. This is episode 12 of the Entrepreneur's Enigma podcast. I have the amazing, talented, Emmy Award-winning Kerry Barrett of Kerry Barrett Consulting. Yeah. She was a former broadcast journalist.
Yeah.
And there's her Emmy right there. Very nicely placed. I like that there. And I love these awards because after you get them, they're just good paperweights.
They're totally good paperweights. And you know what? Actually, so I'll tell you, I was trying to record a Instagram reel with this the other day.
Yeah.
If you check out my Instagram, you'll see it. But I was talking about my fear of public speaking. And so I had a microphone and I threw that up in the air. And then the follow-up was, and I turned that fear into an Emmy Award. And then I had to catch this on the way down, but I stabbed myself. It hurts. It hurts.
Oh, the thing's violent.
A paperweight, but a weapon.
Yeah, but it's a good paperweight. I mean, I know people who won Academy Awards, and they're like, the Oscars just over there. It's like no big deal. I had a friend who worked for Comcast, and they won a digital something Emmy, and he brought it in. He's like, I'd never take it out of its box.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like, because he's just like, he's like, I don't have a place to put it. Like,
right.
It's not exactly a small award.
No, and I used to have this back on that shelf behind me, and then my marketing agency was like, that's stupid. Nobody can see it. And I'm like, well, I feel like it's sort of obnoxious here. Like, but anyway, I do it.
Honestly, unless you're really in the know, people might not know that's an Emmy. They might just think it's
a paperweight or a weapon
or a piece of office art. Like I have a globe up there. I have a bunch of cloth and jets, and people might not necessarily always identify that as an Emmy.
True. You make a very good point.
I do every once in a while. My wife will attest. I make a good point every once in a while. So anyhow,
even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Exactly. But anyhow, so Kerry, you were in the news business as I was in newspapers. You were in broadcast.
Yeah.
And you were in it for what, 20 years?
Yeah, ish.
Some insane amount of time to be in the broadcast business. I mean, newspapers were just as bad. I only made 6 years. But
they're all dying right now.
They're all dying, or they're evolving, which is weird. Like, some of them are evolving nicely. Like New York Times is evolving nicely.
Yeah.
The WAPO, they're not as evolved as New York Times. But I mean, the Times is, I think, is the only newspaper that's actually figured it out somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think they have. I think one of the issues, and this is across the board, is that industry, once, it's going to sound terrible, once everybody like over the age of 45 has died off, that's a tough to say, but like, it's really below that age, there's almost nobody who's
I don't watch the news.
Watching TV news or reading like traditional mainstream newspapers anymore. I think that's where like the rubber meets the road, maybe. Like we'll really
Yeah.
have to see how they're able to, will they truly become dinosaurs, or will they have figured out how to move into like the younger generations? I'm not sure what the answer is
With
there.
Instagram stories, right?
Exactly, or reels.
Real, actually, New York Times does a very long Instagram story every single day. It's
Yeah,
like a hundred clips, and I mean they
right.
do a good job. I mean, so I mean
Hmm.
there is. But back to you. So you are now a broadcast, speaking coach, right? Is that how would you describe what you do?
That's a
And
very good
I've
question
known you for
because
a few months now. I still can't describe what exactly Kerry does. So, and what does Kerry do? You are a
you
former
and me are in the
anchor.
same boat. So I help my clients scale their visibility and their credibility through the creation and use of compelling video content. So for a lot of my smaller business owners, that means understanding how to create DIY videos. So whether it's marketing video specifically for their website, or it's Instagram video, or it's LinkedIn video, or it's email videos, whatever, any of that
Mhm.
sort of stuff, right? That's usually what those small business owners, entrepreneur types are looking for: creation of video, but they're on a budget, right? I get it. And
Yeah.
number two, it often has to do with, I don't know what to say, I don't know how to say it, I don't know how to deliver it, I don't know what is the strategy for distribution, all of those things.
There's a
And then
lot.
for some of
Yeah.
my larger clients, it's about full scale video productions. So you want a video that has some durability to it, something that's going to live above the fold, to use a newspaper term, on your
Mhm.
website,
Yeah.
that needs to have a level of sophistication and polish that you can't get from a phone. And
Yeah.
so that's usually for corporations, larger brands, and then additionally speaking. So I do group trainings, keynote speaking, either motivational or instructional, if you will. And again, that usually is for associations or larger corporations who are looking for team building, are looking for personal development or brand development for their employees.
That's awesome. So how's it been? Have you been doing this? Is it almost? It was last time we talked. It was 2 years.
Yeah,
You
no,
are 2 years now. It's almost three, right?
no, 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 no. I'm at about 2 years and 3 months.
Oh, to be exact. There you
Yeah,
go.
I had to count.
You gotta count. How's it
Listen,
been?
I'll tell you, it has been a hell of a ride.
It
I
is.
a true story. I mean, I have, we've talked about this before. I have
Yeah.
zero business experience. I mean, like
Same here.
maybe zero is even being a tad generous. I've never taken a business course. I've never even read a business book. I have never reported on business.
Wow.
Truly zero knowledge. In fact, I was like I never thought I would own a business. I didn't want to be involved in any sort of corporate, nothing, right? I was a
Wow.
journalist. We were
Yeah.
pure.
Exactly. Back in the day, I remember those days. Yeah.
And that's not the case anymore. So
It isn't.
no, and then of course the pandemic, which threw things into sort of a state of chaos, at least for a certain amount of time, and you had to figure out how to move within that and change. And so I've changed even since 2 years ago, maybe more so than I had anticipated. But I didn't know what a P&L was. In fact, I didn't know what one was 9 months in.
Oh,
didn't,
that's always
didn't know what,
that usually sneaks up on you. That's P and
yeah,
L.
yeah, it did.
It's like what's a
um,
P and L? And your account's like you need to know this, and I'm like,
Well, no, you know what? Here's how I actually learned. I was in this is pre-pandemic. I was in like a seminar,
mhm.
a bunch of people around, one of those like events, learn these 7 steps for blah, 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 blah. And then they sell you something. Anyway, we were in a circle and I was with all these people who were experienced business owners. They'd all been in, the corporate world or owned businesses for, at least a decade, many of them more. They're like, what do you do when you get a referral? And I'm like, am I supposed to do something? I just say thank you. And they're like, and how, something about a P&L. And we were going around the room and I'm like, I don't know what that is. And
Yeah.
then how do you plan on scaling your business? And I'm like, I don't know what scale means. I mean, truly, when I tell you
Well, you're only 9 months into the business. I mean, a lot of times, I mean, there's business owners. I feel like there's business owners that can know everything under the sun in
yeah,
business and they still fail. And then there's
yeah,
business owners like us that don't have any business acumen whatsoever. I mean, mine's all self-taught,
yeah.
and I've been doing it for 13 years.
Right. And you've
Like,
had great success, but you did say the first few years were sort of a shit show, yes?
oh, they were a clusterfuck. Pardon my language. We'll put an explicit tag on this show, but it was a cluster. It was
Yeah,
because it was just figuring stuff out and saying, well,
yeah,
I shouldn't have said that to that client, or I should have said this to this client, or should have expected this. And honestly, 3 years into the business, I'm realizing I need to set processes up for
right,
certain things, like how to conduct meetings. Like we need to have a welcome meeting, then we have to have a kickoff meeting, then we need all the content first.
right.
And I'm 13 years into this business and I'm just figuring this out now. So that's where business school comes in handy, is that you
Yeah,
learn that you have to process these first. But I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
hey, 13 years, I'm not complaining.
No, there you go. Right. You're still standing.
Yeah, I'm hobbling, but standing. So what is your sweet spot when it comes to your business? Like, do you have a favorite? And also, what's your sweet spot? Where do most people come to you for? And
Yeah,
what's your favorite?
it's really it's morphed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a couple things that I really love doing. So I have some digital courses that are getting ready to launch. In fact, I have a master class that will drop later in August.
Woo woo!
That
I think I signed up for that one.
Yeah, did you? Okay, good. I'm so
I think I
excited.
signed
So
everything you signed
there.
up for. I think I'm on the
Yes,
email
yes,
list like
yes, yes.
15 times. So
And so that leads into this first digital course that I'm putting out with a co-creator, the owner of a production company, and it's all about DIY video.
it's
And
awesome.
I loved that. Not only was the whole process interesting, and I learned a lot, and I have a couple of other courses that are in the works right now. But I enjoy, as you know, teaching people what I've learned over the course of my news career about
Mhm.
delivery and presentation and messaging and storytelling. And then my co-host deals with all the tech stuff. So
Oh, there you
as the
go.
owner of a production company, she understands DIY editing and lighting and the right camera to use and
Hmm.
location scouting and all of that other stuff. So I've absolutely loved that, and I hope that that becomes really the baseline of my business, along with some of the other offerings that I'll put there. The other thing that's changed for me that I really am enjoying is that my client base for individual coaching grew very quickly. A lot of them are
Wow.
referrals. Some of them saw me on a webinar or connected with me via LinkedIn based on some
Hmm.
content that I've put out. And they, what I've started to have to do is, in order to be able to serve them and still have time to do life,
Yeah.
I'm putting them into a group coaching program. And the group coaching program, which I also really love because it is super stimulating. The students and my clients are able to ask one another questions and bounce
Yeah.
ideas off of each other. There's a Facebook group where they can continue to post and get
Mhm.
feedback and critique in between sessions. I do some online office hours so that when people have individual questions, they can contact me that way. And then after, after they've gone through that, if there are additional questions that they really need some one-on-one consulting for, or someone to walk them through an issue, then they schedule a one-off
Cool.
session with me, and
Yeah.
we can walk through whatever they're facing. But I've found that to be it's a better use of my time. I'm able to prep better to serve the people that are in that group, and it's a really
Mhm.
dynamic sort of situation, and I really I quite enjoy that.
That's awesome. I mean, because
Yeah.
you have three kiddos, four if you count your husband. And so how do you balance, I mean, with entrepreneur life? I mean, 2 years in, 2 years and 3 months in, how do you balance having, mommy, 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 mommy? Because we all know, like I have an 8-year-old, and it's
Yeah.
always like daddy, daddy, and then when it's something for mommy, it's something for mommy, and the whole world comes to an end, and it's like he needs
There you go.
mommy now, and there's nothing that daddy can do to keep him away from mommy, who's currently working.
Right. Well, so a couple of things. Number one, my husband has installed a deadbolt at the top of my office door that nobody can reach. And the reason is
Oh, that's a
because
good
my
idea.
little guy would jimmy the lock open
Oh,
with
my
his
son gets
foot.
come walks in. I'm surprised. I mean, if he's home right now, he'd walk in.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. You may hear them bang at the door and scream bloody murder as well, but I'll just ignore that.
Yeah, I've learned to do that, but
Resilience.
my son's learned how to unlock the door with a
Oh, yeah.
little screwdriver. So I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm actually thinking a deadbolt, but I'm in the basement, and I'm like, I'm not sure if that's safe. But I'm like,
Oh, well, safety schmafety, whatever.
exactly. You have enough windows. You could just jump out of windows if you had
Jump
to.
right out. Um, that is a challenge. I like to say that my name is Kerry, also known as Mom, 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 Mom,
Yeah.
Mom, Mom, and it
So
continues.
on, et cetera, and so
Yeah,
forth. Yeah.
exactly. Boy, I'll tell you what, it's been a challenge. I don't think any more of a challenge for me than anybody else, especially given what we're going through. However, I
Mhm.
always worked outside of the home. I worked in the news business. I never did work from home the way so many people
Mhm.
have. And so that was a bit of a learning curve. And you and I were talking a little bit before this podcast started, that I always feel like I'm failing in one way or another. I'm either failing the kids, or I'm failing, business strategy and growth, or heaven forbid, I feel like I'm failing a client. And I always catastrophize it in my mind. I always
Yeah.
make it, I have a client that'll email me and be like, we need to talk. And I'll be like, well, I'm getting fired. That's what's happening
Mhm.
here. And it's never happened. Nobody's ever said, I don't want to work with you anymore. It's always like, I want to do, some additional content creation, or, can we have a session about
It's
this?
always positive. It seems
It's
like it's
always
always
something
positive.
positive.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I
Mm.
have made it every time without failure. I don't learn from the past. It's always like,
But
well, this is,
I would like to say that that is something from being a new entrepreneur. Like that's the first few years. No,
yeah.
it's 13 years into the business. It is still very much like I want to talk. Someone says I want to talk. I'm like, oh no, now what?
Oh, what did I do wrong? Yeah.
And you're not the only one that does that. I feel like a
Okay.
lot of entrepreneurs do that, where they're like, it is maybe not hand to mouth per se, but it's still that was a nice chunk of money that they can't afford to lose, and they're
Hmm.
afraid they're going to lose it. But then they're like, all the person wants to do is actually throw more money at things.
Right. Yeah. I want somebody to show up at my front door with suitcases full of money. I haven't had that happen yet,
Nothing happens yet. Hasn't it might, you never know, you know. But you just got to question where that money comes from. So
Yeah. Well, I don't. I'm just glad it's here.
yeah, thank you for the
Thank you
no
very
questions
much. I'm
asked.
not going to ask any questions. Goodbye. So the answer about how it's all balanced is I I haven't found it. I really haven't. And
Hmm.
that's like the standard answer, and everybody says that, and there's no such
Hmm.
thing as balance, and blah 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 blah. I will say what I am trying to do, dealing with everything that's going on in the world, and who knows what's coming up this fall with the Delta variant and everything else.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed that we get a handle on it before it has the potential to become a bigger issue than it already is. But my
Hmm.
point is, I've tried to start thinking beyond the immediate, meaning, when I first started, I was just grabbing every single client that came my way, and it didn't, honest to God, hardly matter what they were willing to pay me. I've now
Yeah.
gotten to the point where I am turning away people who are maybe not a good fit, or
Hmm.
who are
It's a good
not,
feeling.
who are, yeah, I'm starting to become more um more exclusive. And the people who did sign up with me earlier, I weigh the relationship and what we have, beyond just
Hmm.
that sort of immediate transaction. Like, what are the potential relationships for them and me down the road to keep this going? Is there, some additional collaboration that's beneficial for both of us? And then there are other people who I'm like, I can't afford to keep doing this for the cost that we were. Here's my new offering. And that's how I sort of came to this idea of the group coaching, which is, I have to find a way to be able to scale this and
Hmm.
not be working 12 hours a day. So my strategy now
Yeah.
with the courses and the group coaching is to give myself more time to work on the business rather than in it,
That's the way.
which is
That's what you got
another
to do.
phrase
Yeah.
I didn't understand when I first started, and now I do, painfully so. And so I've started to just think about how my offerings can be tweaked to make life work better. I haven't gotten there just yet, but I'm moving in that direction, which is a really nice feeling.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Kerry, this has been awesome. Like, we're gonna keep this short because I can hear the kids rearing for mommy right now. No, it's fine. It's fine. This is what makes it real. That's the difference between, and this is what I always say: podcasts are not NPR.
Yeah.
Like Mark, if you talk, to Carl Castle, you don't hear his grandkids banging on the door during a session. And they're not banging on your door here either. But I'm saying, like, podcasts, they're supposed to be fluid and fun and enjoyable and just a good time. And I mean, also, you also have your own podcast, Marketing Mavens and Mavens of Marketing.
Yeah, the Mavens of Marketing. So thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yeah, I love it. I listen to it every week.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun to do. It's one of those, it's again something that I enjoy.
Mhm.
It's called the Mavens of Marketing. You can find it on any of your standard podcast channels, Google and iHeart and Spotify. I also have it up on my Kajabi site, which is where my course lives, one of them anyway. And there's also a YouTube channel. So there's a video component. We do a lot of fun edits with the show. It makes it really entertaining and also super informational. So it's all about marketing, obviously, but it's really soup to nuts. It is, email list building. It is network marketing. It's about affiliate marketing.
Oh, it's fantastic.
How do you take a great headshot that, shows a cohesive brand, and how do you leverage that? How do you leverage an online community for profit? It runs across the board. I host it with Rachel Durkin, who is the president of Paradigm Marketing and Design, which is a marketing agency based in New Jersey. And we have amazing guests.
You have so much fun. It sounds like you have so much fun. It is. And like I said, it's not NPR. It's not NBC or Fox News or anything like that where you just bend off. It's fun.
Yeah.
And you get to shine that way. So let's put up real fast. You can check out Kerry at KerryBarrettConsulting.com.
Yeah.
You can find her over at the real Kerry Barrett, which I thought was very Kerry B.
Thanks.
Which is real with 2 E's, as in like a demo reel, like that.
There you go, video reel. You got it. Well done.
I was a former journalist. I get it. Exactly.
You're probably the only person who's picked up on that, but thank you.
And you can always subscribe to our show, going to Entrepreneurs Enigma. That is actually going to eventually go over to the Goldstein Media's website, and then it's going to be, I'm rejiggering everything. So that's my own little nightmare going on right now. So
your show's always so much fun. I love it.
It's fun. It's fun talking to another one who escaped the journalism world. Oh God! And when I say escape, I say it the nicest way possible.
I hear you.
Yeah. Okay, this has been so much fun. I'll let you go gallivanting around the world with your kiddos. I'm sure they want their mommy because their mom's fun.
I'm just gonna go get a gin and tonic. Is it too early?
It's 5 o'clock. Actually, it is 5 o'clock. Probably in Japan. Past 5 in Japan.
Done.
So
yeah, I know.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome, Kerry. This has been fun.
Thank you, Seth. It's always a pleasure.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Sarah Panous hosts a great podcast called Marketing with Empathy. Sarah, tell us what these fine folks will get when they listen.
Marketing with Empathy is a weekly podcast, and it's designed for brand content marketers who want to connect with their audiences through storytelling and are looking for help to do it better, plus enjoy that recognition, growth, and just joy that comes from creating great work.
Awesome. Where can people subscribe?
Yeah, head on over to marketingpodcast.net and you will see the Marketing with Empathy show there. Otherwise, wherever you listen to podcasts, you'll find Marketing with Empathy.
You heard her. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.